Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk about a topic which many people don't find it interesting. In fact, they find it morbid. This is the act of winding up when you have assets and you need to close it. Let's take an example that you are leaving one company A to move to company B. Then you sit there and call one person and hand over. You create a handover document. Similarly, when you have very complicated portfolios, you should start winding down your portfolio. Let us say you have a very complicated portfolio of saying you have one house which you use for your living, your day-to-day living. You have one house in some location which is maybe a hill station kind of a thing, maybe a Panchgani, maybe a Lonavala, maybe Coorg, anything, Kodaikanal, anything which you bought very enthusiastically in your 50s, saying, oh, I will go for the weekends from Chennai to Kodaikanal or from Bombay to Lonavala, Panchgani, whatever, Mahabaleshwar, and I will go very regularly. This is a very good deal, fantastic, you did it, and now that house is there are two people looking after it. Are you really going to be able to use it in your 70s? Or are you going to feel, oh, I'm not well, I will not be able to go, I don't like the weather, it's too cold. Let us take the case that you are 70 years of age, you're very fit, but you have your 93-year-old mother staying with you. Will you be able to take your mother? Maybe you are in, maybe you bought it in Shimla, maybe you bought it in GB, somewhere in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, somewhere. Will you be able to, in your 70s, be able to go there and use it? Or will it be lying vacant most of the time because you are unable to go? Is there somebody to manage it, or is there somebody just doing the administration part of it? Right, so which means it's not being used, it's being used maybe 30 days in a month maximum, which is you and your sibling or some of your friends go and stay, and other times it is lying empty, which means it's not a very sensible, great thing to be holding through your 70s, 80s, especially if you have one kid and that kid is abroad. So it's going to become a problem. Similarly, you could have hobbies. Your hobbies could be, say, photography. Will you be able to take photographs? Will you be able to download it from your camera, keep it in your laptop, or put it in Google Photos or somewhere like that? Will you be doing it? How long will you do it? How much will you travel in your 70s? Think through all these things while you are creating assets. I'm not saying don't create assets. I'm saying find somebody whom you can hand over all this while you're hale and hearty. Because after you're not there, your family is going to wonder what to do with these cameras, with these lenses, with this cycle, with this fishing rod. And I'm seeing people struggling with that and wondering, why the hell did he do all this? Because he's not gone fishing for the last 6 years. Why did he just not give away the fishing rod? Because you're telling yourself somewhere in your mind, no, I'm going to fish. Now come to your investment portfolio. Let us say you got real estate, which we spoke about, you got REITs, you got art, you got some other hobbies, some collection and all that. Please find somebody who is interested in that. Sit with your family. Let us assume your family is, you have a son and a daughter, and your wife is, so 4 of you sit together. Then you find that your children are abroad, they are not interested in any of the physical assets. This happens. If you have property in India in some vague location, which could even be a place like Coorg or somewhere in Himachal or something, there could now be restrictions. Maybe you took it on lease from somebody and now you have to get rid of it. You may not be able to unless some other local is willing to take it from you. Or the lease is 30 years, it's only now 5 years into it and you don't know what to do, you want to get rid of it and you're unable to get rid of it. If you are unable to get rid of it, perish the thought that your children will come here and fight for it. Because if your children are abroad and they're doing well, they just don't care about the real estate that you leave for them in India. Most people come and say, just take it away. I know one person who came and he found that his father-in-law's land was occupied by the neighbor, and the neighbor had built all over the place, and he said, look, I have built it. He did not even deny, and these people had no energy or the willingness or the stamina to go and fight and reclaim their land, because there was already construction there. There was no way how you could have done, and I'm sure that person had already bribed the local police, so nothing would have happened. So assets which you have no control over will have to go out first. assets in which your family is not interested. You are very interested, but just tell yourself, look, I have enjoyed all these assets so far, now I don't need it, I'll just get rid of it. Could be anything, could be your wine collection, could be your cutlery collection, could be your anything like that. Just start getting rid of it. What age should you do it? It's a $1 million question. It's fairly obvious that you should do it when you're hale and hearty and not when you're bedridden, right? So when you're bedridden, that is not going to be your priority. Your priority would be to get up and start walking, right? That's going to be your priority. So when you're hale and hearty and you have nothing much to do in life, sit down with all your assets, sit down with the kids, sit down with the spouse, ask them in which are they interested, will they pay attention. If they won't pay attention, just get rid of it. You don't need it. You don't need to own things to enjoy it. Just go and enjoy paintings in some exhibition, right? You don't need to own them. If you have bought them and you have owned them, and only you know how to sell them, right? Your children don't know how to sell them, so they will do a distress sale. So all that is not very great and attractive. You have 30, 40 paintings, maybe 20 paintings which you bought for an X amount, and today you are able to sell it off at a Y amount. Why don't you get rid of it? Because simplifying your portfolio. At the age of 20, you want growth in your portfolio. At the age of 40, you create a more complicated portfolio because you're having fun doing it. In your 50s, you're seeing you're getting good returns. But believe me, whenever I see complicated portfolios, I find overall they're underperforming the index. That's what is happening. So what is the great fun in having real estate which lies vacant for 3 months in a year and you get very good rent for 9 months? After that, that person vacates. Again, you have a problem of wanting to find another tenant, right? It's not going to be very easy managing all that when you're, say, 76 years of age, 78 years of age, and your wife is not interested in doing it. She's going to say, oh, now in your old age you want to do this also, you want to run errands for somebody. You never ran errands for me. Now because the tenant is calling, you're going and fixing the plumbing and fixing the AC. Do you want to really do all that? So if you have property which is tenanted, it's fairly obvious that you will have to handle tenants' grievances. Now if you have 25 properties, you create a private limited company, put all of that into that, create a system, then it's different. Then again it's a business, so one day you will have to sell your stake in that place also. So it's not going to be very easy doing all that, especially when you're not around, because then you will have to make a very complicated will saying this will belong to whom and this will belong to whom. Now if you have one kid, very good chance that the kid is not interested in the things which you have done. Very unlikely that they will take so much trouble. Let's say you have a painting collection and you have some other artifacts, something you've collected, but your kid is doing extremely well in life. He or she is only 30 years of age, maybe earning $1.5 crore. So very good chance that they will just one day out of anger or something just take all of this and dispose it off. Not because they don't need the money. To them they are indifferent about that money, and just because they didn't want it anyway. So if you tell them that I'm doing it for you, you please ask them whether they want it. It is like inviting me for lunch and creating a sumptuous, fantastic non-veg array of 20 dishes. It makes no sense at all to me, right? So I'm going to say, look, if you wanted me to eat, you should have been more careful and you should have made only veg dishes. Non-veg does not interest me at all. So similarly, if the kids are not interested in what you're doing, if your spouse is not interested in what you're doing, or your spouse is saying, okay, what will happen if you sell all these shares and put it into an index fund, or if you put it into a savings bank account, does it really matter in our lives? The answer is no. If it does not matter in your life whether you get the additional alpha or don't get the additional alpha, you currently have some current income because of your day-to-day activities, nobody is going to miss this, those REITs and real estate and direct equity which you are holding. So come down to simple 4 or 5 mutual funds, which could include a debt fund, but you know that debt funds are today handled taxed a little differently, or it could be just 2-3 hybrid funds, one with more equity, one with less equity, but giving you equity taxation or debt taxation, which is 20% with indexation kind of taxation. That is all that you should be doing. As you get older, you have no clue when you will be hit by dementia or amnesia or anything like that, which means you're now finished. I know somebody who was on his let's call it deathbed over the last 3 years and is unable to put his signature on a check. He just can't sign. So his wife is handling it, but still some places where his signature is required, it's a big nightmare. We don't know when we will be in such a situation, so making sure that all the nominations are in place, the will is in place, you've done all that, then you might as well start simplifying the portfolio. Thank you.